There comes a moment in life when you have to decide, are you playing it safe or are you all in? This is All In Empowerment, the podcast where we crush fears and step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I'm your host, Betsy Martell, coach and adventurer, here to push you past your limits and unlock your full potential. It's time to level up your life because empowerment isn't just a mindset, it's a commitment. So are you ready? Because in this space, we don't tiptoe, we go all in. Hey, welcome to All in Empowerment. Today we are soaring to new heights, literally and figuratively. I'm thrilled to introduce to you the remarkable Heather Howley. As the founder and chief pilot of Independent Helicopters, Heather has logged over 8,000 flight hours and has been a certified flight instructor for more than 17 years. But Heather's journey doesn't stop in the cockpit. She's also a mentor coach, business consultant, and professional speaker dedicated to empowering others to pursue their dreams with the same tenacity that propelled her into the skies. In this episode, Heather shares her inspiring story of determination, resilience, and the pursuit of passion. From her early days of selling everything she owned to fund her flight training to becoming a leader in a male-dominated industry, Heather's journey is a testament to what can be achieved when you refuse to let obstacles ground your ambitions. So buckle up and get ready for an uplifting conversation that will leave you inspired to chart your own course and reach for the skies. Hey, welcome, Heather.
Oh, that's so good. It's like, did I write that? Did somebody that was a great intro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Partly me, maybe partly ChatGPT and the things that I found online. I Googled you, man.
Yeah.
I Googled you.
Yeah. So I actually have over 10,000 hours now and 18
Oh,
years instructing, but 20 years flying in total. Yeah.
wow.
It's
That's
crazy.
amazing. So,
Mhm.
for those of you who cannot see Heather right now, she is this beautiful petite woman. And I told her the story the other day about how I profiled her when I first met her. And so I looked across the room and I saw her, and she was wearing a blazer, very businesslike, and just, beautiful long hair. And I thought to myself, I'm like, gosh, I wonder what she does for a living. I bet maybe she sells insurance, or I don't know, maybe, I mean, she could be like a really good looking teacher. I mean, there was all sorts of things going through my head.
I mean, teacher, you're not far off, really. Like teacher's
Right,
pretty
right.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, but if somebody would have said to me, "I'm gonna give you $1 billion if you can guess what she does, and I'll give you $1 million if you can get close," I still would have ended up with $0,
Yeah.
because when I asked you what you did and you said you were a helicopter pilot, I was floored. I mean, how amazing is that? So I wanna talk to you, today about how did you get there? And,
Mm.
like, from early on, because some kids, I've heard stories where it's, from the time they're 4 years old, they're drawing airplanes and saying they wanna be a pilot and things like that. But then for other people, even if they were doing that, they were kind of, not forced, but maybe, told that that's, pie in the sky dream and you need to be more grounded, and literally and figuratively. And that, you should go into a more sensible career, things like that. So tell us how you got there.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't ever want to fly. It was never anything that I thought I wanted to do. No one in my family flies. And in fact, when I told my mom I wanted to fly, that was one of her excuses for me not to do it. She was like, oh, well, no one in our family flies. It's not in our bloodline. Why would you want to do it? But I went to school for biology and I was going to be a veterinarian or work with animals. That was my goal when I started. I got my associate's degree in biology, ended up moving out to California and was doing some stem cell research, as an assistant in the field at the time, just gaining experience and seeing if it was something I truly wanted to pursue. And I remember thinking, I really enjoy traveling. Like maybe I can be a pilot, fly airplanes. I'll do that. And I started taking classes at the community college. And I was fortunate enough to have a female instructor there who had suggested looking into helicopters because it's more stable, more lucrative, doesn't have all the cycles of the airlines, et cetera, et cetera. And I just got very lucky that there was an ad on the radio a week later, come for your free helicopter ride. And at the time I was like broker than broke. I think I sold everything I had in New York, moved out to California with a 10-foot box truck, got my first job, my first apartment all within that first week. And then here I was a year and a half later taking, ground school for fixed wing when I figured out the helicopter thing. And I went for one ride and I always tell people it was love at first flight. Like I went up once and that was it. I loved it. I couldn't not be in the air. It was home.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Mhm.
that's still a crazy story. Tell me, like, your childhood growing up in your family, how many siblings you have and where you fall in the family and all that.
Yeah, I am the oldest of 4, and I basically raised my 3 younger siblings. My parents both worked full time, multiple jobs, we're always out trying to just afford to feed a family of 4, And so at the age of 9, I had a paper out and a babysitting job in addition to taking care of my siblings, and kinda kept that going until I could get my first job. I think I think CVS was my first job. I think I worked as a cashier or shelf stocker at the age of 16 or maybe even younger. And then at 17, I actually moved out of my parents' house because I had been an adult now for way too long. And I was like, I need to go out and get my freedom. So I left at 17 and didn't talk to my family for about a year and a half after that. Just trying to, I guess, spread my wings and experience my freedom. But that was interesting.
So so would you say it was, what maybe a blessing and a curse, I don't know, but, when you're strapped to raising your siblings at such a young age, you could think of that as a curse, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you were at the time, but the blessing was that it really kinda gave you the tools, number 1, to mature and to go out on your own, but also it almost sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it actually made you go out on your own, right?
Oh,
Because you
yeah.
you just wanted that you're like, "I'm sick of being a
Yeah.
parent. I'm gonna go make a life for myself." And so where a lot of kids that don't grow up in that situation, where they're more, shall I say, coddled and doing more of a traditional life, that they stay in that comfort zone, and you weren't really in a comfort zone, you were working, and so
Yeah.
you just wanted to get out and push yourself and find your freedom.
Yeah, I would say that, and, um, I think having those responsibilities at a very young age, taught me that I could take on those responsibilities and do more. So it was about the freedom, but it was also like I had the wherewithal to do it, I had the knowledge and the experience behind me to be like, "Oh, I survived, all of that, I can definitely do more, and it's not so hard to be on my own. I've been on my own my whole life."
Yeah, yeah. Now, being on your own your whole life and doing it from a very early age, do you find that there was a block later on that caused you to be blocked in certain areas of your life?
I mean, blocked is kind of a hard word for that. I would say if anything, I still find myself sometimes to be the fixer and to be the person that is the problem solver and, I wanna do everything for everybody, always putting myself last. So those would be
Mm.
some of the negatives, if you will, that I took from that. And I've been with a coach now for 11 years, and it's a constant thing that just, it's a different level every time it comes back up, but something that I still work with. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because we're never totally done, right? We're always
Never.
working and learning.
Yeah.
And then so you and I talked the other day, and we were talking about kind of the difference, yeah, I guess, nature versus nurture. And were you born with this just, natural leadership and resilience, or is it something that was learned or a combination of both?
It's funny because as you're asking the question, I'm over here smiling. My mom loves to tell the story of how I was born. I think it was 3 weeks early, maybe a month and a half early. I can never remember. But I was born early. Like I couldn't wait to get out into the world and to like conquer it. So I think I sort of was born with that already. But then based on, the circumstances of my childhood, I think a lot of it was also learned. But I think there is something to be said about, like, I came into this world knowing that I was in a hurry. I was like, "Let me get out there. Let me start doing things. I need to move mountains, and I wanna start now," kind of attitude from the get-go.
Yeah, yeah. I have 2 boys, and they were they are exactly how they were the moment they were born. I
Yep.
mean, literally the moment they were born, that first breath. My oldest one is super laid back. When he was born, he didn't even cry.
Really?
Yeah, he just came out and he was like, looked around and he kinda grunted a little bit. He made these little grunt sounds. And, when they finally, peeled him out of, my arms because I didn't wanna let go of him, but they insisted that he was gonna go in the bassinet for a little while. The nurses said I think he was 4 hours old, and they said, "We've never seen this before. He is literally following us around the room with his eyes."
Wow.
And to this day, he's, like, super observant. He's the one that sits in the room quiet and just, watches everybody and takes it all in. And then my second one came and just screaming bloody he was early, screaming bloody murder. Adam was a week late, Eric was, 9 days early. And, yeah, and he was very demanding. He always wanted to talk way before he could talk, and you
Mm.
could tell he was just so determined. He always had something that, and he's still like that to this day. Um, Very much like the life of the party and very determined and headstrong, and yeah, so I'm telling you, from the moment they're born, you can tell that. It's crazy.
It is, yeah, yeah. I wonder if there's something to that. I wonder if there's like a study or a science behind it.
Oh, yeah, because some people say it's the mom's state of mind and environment and things when you're pregnant. Um, and if that is true, I would say definitely with my first, I was in a very relaxed pregnancy. Not too much going on, not crazy, moving around and things like that. Well, when I was pregnant with Eric, we were living in Australia and Adam was a toddler, and I was 6 months pregnant when my husband looked at me and said, "We're moving back to the United States."
Mm.
And I said, "No, we're not. We're gonna have this baby here." And I said, "You go back. I'll stay here and have the baby." He's like, "Yeah, it's not gonna work that way." Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so we moved ultimately to Denver, if I remember correctly. I think we moved back to Wisconsin for a while, and then we moved to Denver, and we're living in an apartment, when I actually had him.
Oh my god, it's a lot
Um
of moving being pregnant.
Yeah, and so, yeah, so you can imagine, like, my whole state of being in that pregnancy was, "Oh my god, I've gotta pack up a house, I gotta," I have a toddler, and we're moving across the world and, everything else, so, yeah, so, there might be some truth to, kind of your state of being when you're pregnant. I don't know, we'll
Hmm.
see. Maybe somebody will chime in, comment and tell us whether we're right or wrong. I don't know if there's any study.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's studies out there.
there's gotta be, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so you now, um, have changed careers completely from a veterinarian to
Yeah.
helicopter pilot. Um, and then, so how did it go? I mean, how did you start a business?
Oh, totally by accident, honestly. I, um I had gotten all my ratings. I was living in California when I started and then finished up in Colorado and then had moved back home to New York. When I finished, got a job here in New York. A lot of bad relationships and bad decisions in between, but I don't need to talk about those. So,
Actually,
um,
we do wanna
mm.
hear Heather, but no.
But yeah, so I moved back to New York and I worked for a company here for about 6 months. They went bankrupt. It was Super Bowl Sunday of 2008. They went bankrupt. And I desperately tried to find another job directly after that. Found a job in Pennsylvania a week later, started working there. And I had all these students from the bankrupt school. There was still aircraft here at the airport. And I was like, I feel bad for these students. I really want to help them. So I talked to my current employer and I said, hey, I think I want to lease a smaller helicopter. It's an R-22 helicopter, a little two-seater. And I want to train those bankrupt students in that helicopter because it'll be cheaper for them. And then they can transition into your school, fly in the bigger helicopter. I'll create business for you. They'll get what they need. I'll get the hours that I need, and then I can move on. And now you have a new business model. Like, I essentially wanted to grow their business for them. And they said, yeah, that's a great idea. Give us your resignation letter. We'll be business partners, start your own business, et cetera. I said, okay, great. I was 25 at the time, and I took $25 and I went and I bought my DBA through, I think it was Kingston at the time, Kingston, New York. I went up there and signed up for my DBA, my doing business as certificate. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm a business. I'm Independent Helicopters. And I chose the name Independent Helicopters because I was an independent contractor. And I was like, well, New York, independence, independent contractor, helicopters makes total sense. So I chose that name, became a DBA, and then started reaching out to all the students from the bankrupt school to try and drum up business. And when I asked the other school that I had been working with, I said, what can I do? And, is there a better way to market? Is there any questions essentially? And they never responded. And so that was June of 2008, I started the business. September 15th of 2008 is when I got my first helicopter, and when I technically, in my opinion, started the business because I had something to actually fly. Um, and that was when independent helicopters really was born, because it was a sink or swim moment. And if I had no business partner at this point, I really had no money either, or any clue what I was doing in business or any of it. And I decided to just keep swimming. So just like Dory, just keep swimming, just keep
Yeah.
swimming. So that's all I've
Right.
done now for the last 17 years, is nose to the grind, keep my head down, and, do right by people and just keep working.
Yeah. And independent took on a whole new meaning at that point.
100%. No, so and honestly, like, what I've get like, from then till now, like, 17 years in the business, independent helicopter, like, it's my personality, like, it's 100%. I am independent helicopters. It makes total sense. Even my motto, like, for my instructors, is be independent. For my students, it's the same, because I want to nurture them and train them to a certain point where they can be independent and do their own thing and make their own decisions without me having to micromanage. Like, it's so many facets of that name throughout the business.
Right. So, okay, so your students that come in and learn how to fly helicopters, do they then go start their businesses, or is this something they are just doing for themselves? What's kind of the mix of that for you?
Yeah, so it had always been about 50-50, people doing it as a professional career, and 50% of it doing it recreationally, or at the private pilot level. And now it's probably more 70-30. So 70% are becoming professional pilots, 30% are doing it for fun, or, because they have the money, and they can. But most helicopter pilots, when they start training, they do it to become a professional pilot because it's so expensive, and not many places rent out a helicopter. So once you get your rating, you're limited as to what you can do with it. So it's mostly professional pilots. We take them from zero to flight instructor usually, and then they'll work as an instructor for a year and then go on and do tours or pretty much anything else to build more time. And then the end goal for most people is medevac. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's fun. I
yeah, that's what I wanted to do, but I realize I pass out when people bleed. So not a good idea. Yeah.
really, really bad combination. Passing out and
Yeah.
flying a helicopter, not good at all.
Nope. I
No.
can't see people bleed. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, that's funny. Um, so okay, so this isn't the only business you have.
Yeah, I have a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
bored every so often, you know?
I gotta start new businesses. But before we go into your other businesses, tell me about you had trauma in your life. You had a husband,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you tell me if you want to talk about this or not.
I can, yeah, I've talked about
Okay.
it a lot. And I can just jump right into it if you want, unless you have a good question
Yeah,
for it.
no, go ahead.
Okay. So well, I met him in like 2010, 2011, I think. And we were together for 2.5 years before we got married. We were married in 2013. And in 2014, I'm going to talk about my wedding for just 5 seconds, because it really was the best wedding ever.
Oh, that's so cool.
I flew into the church with my helicopter with the brides, like the two bridesmaids, or my maid of honor, bridesmaid, and the flower girl. And so all of us flew in, landed at the church, we got married, and then him and I left the church via helicopter, and he skydived out of the helicopter, and we chased each other all the way down to the ground. And in that formation, there were two red-tailed hawks that were also flying with us.
Oh, that's
And
so cool.
I mean, it was beautiful. It was March. There was snow on the ground because it had some freak snowstorm, and then it was like 70 or 60 degrees that day when we got married. It was just a beautiful wedding, and really a lot of fun and quite the show.
That's
But
very cool.
yeah, yeah, it was really sweet. And then in 2014, he was also an airplane pilot and a mechanic. And in 2014, in August 2nd, 2014, he was piloting the airplane doing a banner tow. And when he went to take off, the airplane never climbed. And he went to go land off into a field, ended up clipping a tree, which spun the airplane inverted. And they landed on the cockpit and the engine, and him and the passenger died on impact. He was 33 years old. And we were supposed to have dinner that night. We had made all these plans. My whole world. I mean, he was my mechanic. He was the love of my life. We were buying a house that year, planning on having a child the following year, like all these dreams and everything disappeared the day that he died. And I still had my business. I had my business before him. I still obviously have it after him. And he was, I mean, he was a great help for the business. And when I came, I remember I took 2.5 weeks off. Hang on one second. Let me grab that.
Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you now.
Sorry.
Oh, there
Yep,
you
I
are.
muted it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So the day that he died, my entire life changed basically, and it was, do I go back to the office or not? Do I continue flying or not? What do I do? And I took 2.5 weeks off. I remember going back and doing my first flight, and I probably shouldn't have been flying, like, is the short story, because there were things that I missed and radio calls that I didn't understand. And I didn't realize the toll that that kind of trauma takes on the body and the mind,
Mhm.
uh, until I experienced it, and I don't think I was really at least 80% right until about 2 months later. And I mean, you have a whole year of firsts, and then there's more things that come up, year after year after year. And what I discovered was that by being, in the business and refocusing on the business, I quadrupled my business in, the 3 years post him dying, because I didn't know what else to do. It was like, I'm just going to focus everything I have, all my time, all my energy and effort into the business, because I I don't have the life that I thought I was going to have anymore. And yeah, it was a lot. It was really challenging, and I'm really proud of what I've created from it. We actually started a scholarship in his honor. So I have the Marius Ivashko Aviation Foundation that we give out a scholarship to 2 individuals every year to pursue their dream of flying. And it's my way to carry on his legacy and his passion for aviation, and what we both do. And I actually feel much closer to him when I'm in the air. And I get all little signs, from my red tail hawks and other random things out there. But um,
That's really
yeah, it
cool.
was probably the biggest moment in my life that changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Now how did you find out? 'Cause
Ugh,
you were at
yeah,
home waiting, right? 'Cause you guys were gonna go
yeah.
out to dinner and you just hadn't heard from him?
Yeah, so when I was supposed to go fly with him that day, I was supposed to be in the airplane with him, and I got a call from one of my students, "Hey, will you come in and fly with me?" So we had chatted about it, and I said, "Listen, I'm gonna go fly with him. You go do that. We'll come back. We'll cook dinner together." We went to the grocery store, did all these things. So I was done flying, came back home, and I had a black lab at the time, Lucy. And Lucy threw up, and I was like, "That's weird. Why did she vomit? It doesn't make any sense." And so I had texted him, and he didn't respond. And so I took her outside, and I left my phone upstairs, didn't even think about it, and came back in, had a missed call, didn't recognize the number, and texted him again, still no response. Called him, no response. And then I finally listened to the voicemail, and it was the guy who owned the airplane. And he's like, "Heather, call me when you get it, when you get this message." And I just had a feeling. I was like, maybe he got into an accident, like he has a broken leg. Like, I'm gonna start driving up there because he's probably gonna need me. I'm gonna drive up. It was a 2.5 hour drive north from where we lived. And so I threw the dog in the car, started driving up, and it was about halfway up, I got the call and that he was gone. And I remember calling my mom, my sister, they both went. Ironically, members of my family that don't live anywhere near there were near the area that day, which was very strange.
Yeah.
Um, I called my coach, I called my operations manager, and they were all like, "Let's call the cops and get you an escort up there. Let's, pull off. We'll come meet you. We'll drive you up there." And I was like, I can't stop. I just need to be there. And I just kept driving. And I remember I got there right as the sun was setting, and they had already taken the bodies out, and they asked my mom and my sister to identify him. And I said, absolutely not. I don't want anyone that I know to look at that body. Like, I need somebody who knows him up there to look at it, preferably the guy who owns the airplane. And so that's what they did. So the last memory of him for my family and myself and for his family, was of him being healthy and alive. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
yeah.
So, have you I know you poured yourself into your work. Have you pursued other relationships? I mean, I know that that can be so hard when the love of your life dies to even consider another relationship.
I have, yeah. I dated one guy right after, well, not right after, but within the year after he died. That didn't go well. It was not good at all, actually. And then I dated a couple people in between, and then another guy that I was just with for the last 7 years. And it's interesting because I have a coach, I have somebody that I talk to every week, and I've been through a lot of, I'll call it therapy, but not really therapy. I've done a lot of work around his death, and I don't think that it's ever done, But I'm at a place now where I'm deeply connected to him, even though he's not physically here. And there will always be a part of him in my life, period. And whoever I date moving forward has to be able to accept that. And if that doesn't work, then I don't need to be with them. It's
Right.
that
Yeah.
simple.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so, again, showing your resilience, showing just the person that you are that showed up at a very early age in your life, getting through something just traumatizing like that is amazing, and really just pouring yourself into your work, which is probably therapy in itself, right?
Yeah.
And doing it in his honor and all that great stuff, but now you've created all these other businesses, so
Mhm.
tell
Yeah.
me.
So my favorite saying is you can only go, how do they say it now? You can only go as high as you've gone deep. So for me, trauma is a blessing
Mhm.
in most cases, if you can look at it that way, right? Perspective is
Yeah,
everything. And I can now, because of that event that's happened, I can, help other people that are either going through the same thing, or same with my business, right? Like whatever struggles I've been through within my own business, I help other people with. So I'm now a mentor. I prefer mentor over coach because I really do more mentorship than anything. For people that want to start their own business, for people that are going through a massive transition with their lives, whether it be a death or a relationship ending or something health wise, or I mean, a massive gamut of things. So I coach people slash mentor people now. That's one of my businesses. We also created an online business course for that mentorship program as well through my coach's website. And so Amy Elizabeth is my coach. And so we have a joint business online course that we run together. And then I also have my helicopter online course, and I have the helicopter examiner business where I travel all over the country and I basically license new pilots, which is really fun. So I've
okay.
used all my resources into different things.
I know, and that's so amazing. So, tell me though, because I did look at the helicopter online course, and my first reaction was, how do you learn how to, fly a helicopter
Yeah.
online? I'm assuming well, and obviously, I know there's a lot of classroom time because it's not like you just take somebody out and say, "Here, take the controls," but
Yeah, I do
so
actually. I do actually. So
do
on your
you?
very first flight ever, I'm like, "Here, take the controls. You can fly the entire time." I give them the controls and they fly usually the first 30 minutes or hour, depending how long they fly for, but I can give you the controls day one.
You you
Mhm.
are a super brave woman. I it's kinda like driver ed instructors. I'm like, "What
Yeah.
kind of, like, bravery do you have to have?" Or,
Yeah.
sometimes I think they may drink before they get in the car. Um,
Yeah, but definitely not in my case, definitely not in my case.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Mm-mm.
So, okay, so tell me, so there's the online course, which is obviously, kind of learning the technicalities and all that good stuff. Can just run us through, like, does that launch you then into obviously flight hours, or how does that work?
Yeah, so typically, most flight schools don't have a ground school program, and they don't like to do ground instruction. So I created it for that reason because I noticed a lot of pilots were coming through and they just didn't have basic knowledge. And I wanted to sort of fill that gap with the online course. And I wanted to make it easier for my own instructors. That way, when someone came in to fly, they could do the ground instruction on their own in their free time at home and then come back in and get, further instruction or whatever they didn't understand with their instructor. The ground school only covers the ground knowledge, obviously. So you could do that before coming in, or you could do it concurrently with the flight training. But I like concurrently, like do the first 6 lessons and then finish the rest of it while you're flying, because then it all makes a little bit more sense. But it really does expedite the process and help you in the long run preparing for the written test and the practical exam that exists to get your certificate.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So what professions are most popular out there for helicopter pilots that are looking to do it professionally?
That's a great question. I would say probably tour pilots and medevac. The typical progression for our guys that are here in New York is they go from zero to flight instructor to tour pilot to maybe corporate pilot. Some guys go down to the Gulf of Mexico and do the oil rig stuff. Some guys,
What's that? What's the oil rig
yeah,
stuff?
you're essentially a bus driver. Like I hate to say it that way because it sounds very callous, but you're transporting the oil workers out to the oil rigs. So from Louisiana essentially out to the oil rigs. They'll drop them off and
Yeah,
then bring them back. So they do that. Grand Canyon
yeah.
tours, Hawaii tours, Alaska tours. There's power line and pipeline stuff. I mean, there's tons of construction. I can go on and on. There's so many jobs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be filming the FIFA World Cup in MetLife Stadium in July. And so that's another type of job that you could do where you're a film pilot or a photography pilot as well.
So okay. So do you need to have somebody working the camera, or
Yeah.
is it just hooked up to your helicopter and you just fly it around?
So both. So I have the camera mounted externally on the helicopter, and then I have a guy in front with like all the camera tools, and he's usually connected what's the word? Audioly? That sounds weird. Audibly?
Auditorially?
Thank you.
Auditor
Yeah, I'm like, what's the word for that? But he's connected to the ground crew, and they tell him like what he wants, what the director can see on the cameras, and then so we're basically being directed by the director in the air and told what shots to get when and how to prepare. And so I have a guy on board who monitors all of that.
I have 2 things on my bucket list. One is, shooting hogs out of a helicopter, and the other one I told you the other day, this was thanks, Joe Rogan and Fear Factor. I want to hang out of a helicopter over water. I don't know why, I watched Fear Factor back in the day, and it
Hmm.
looked it looked like fun, but,
Yeah.
what's the craziest thing that you've done as
So
a
the most fun that I have in a helicopter, which my insurance company's going to hate me, so I have to be careful what I say. But let me just tell you, um, is we do helicopter paintball. So we take the doors off the helicopter. We give the passengers on board paintball guns. We are the aerial support for the paintball game. So people sign waivers, all the things, and we basically fly and they shoot the people on the field. It's the most fun I have in the helicopter. I really love it. Yeah,
So,
that's
how close to the ground do you have to get get somebody with a
uh,
paintball?
I probably shouldn't answer that question.
Okay, never mind. So moving right along.
Yeah.
I've had a
Mhm.
couple moments on this show. I had
Yeah.
a woman on who does ayahuasca retreats in the United States, and so I asked
Yeah.
her, where she got the medicine from. She's like, "Yeah, we're just moving along."
Yeah, yeah, because
Uh,
it's illegal in the US, yeah.
yes, it
Mhm,
is illegal in the US.
mhm.
Um, okay, so do you still do that, or was that something that
So
has
I
kinda come
started
and gone?
as a fundraiser, like, a lot of the ways that I've grown the business is actually with fundraisers and charity work, which is really interesting, but it's done a lot for my business. So it started as a fundraiser for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and I did one a year for, like, whatever campaign was going on, and whatever we raised, I donated back to the campaign, and then we do airsoft now where they have, like, their big game, and we do that. I don't make a lot of money on it, so I don't do it that often because the risk to reward doesn't make sense. But I really enjoy it. I don't let anybody else fly it. I'm like, if we're doing it, I'm the only one that can do it. So
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Now, would you say the people on the ground are at an extreme
yes. Well, they can't
disadvantage?
even shoot back. Like that's the whole thing is they're not allowed to shoot back. So
Right,
we can shoot at them. If they even so much as point the gun at me, I'm like, that's it. I'm landing. Game's over. We're done. Yeah.
yeah.
Very serious.
Oh, okay, so I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of this. So what team is up in the air? Because
Oh, they
the team
alternate. It depends. Yeah. So like
okay,
whoever wants to pay for it will go up. So whatever team is like, I'll invest the most money essentially, like their people will go up more and shoot the other team.
gotcha, okay, so they kinda take turns. Okay, I was gonna say
Hmm.
because that would be huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
So, but I do wanna put a shout out to anybody who wants to take me, helicopter hog hunting. Uh
Come to Texas. I got some people in Texas for it.
Alright, if you hook me
Yeah.
up, I'm there.
Mhm,
That is
mhm.
literally on my bucket list, and I, haven't had a whole lot of, friends or family that wanna come along with me.
That's
They don't
funny.
really
Yeah, I just wanna
I've had a
fly it. I don't care about shooting. I just wanna go fly it.
yeah, and there's something about being strapped in and trying to like, you're moving and the hogs are moving and you're trying to shoot 'em, and just for all you animal rights people out there, this is for the ranchers because, hogs are extremely invasive and destructive.
Yeah,
And if you've ever seen the destruction they do, you would know, but you have to see it firsthand because it's mind-boggling what they can do and how quickly they can do it and how they, multiply. I think they have 3 litters a year, 2 to 3 litters
um,
a year, and they can have up to 6 piglets in each litter.
wow.
So they, and they can start I think they can start having babies when they're 6 months old. Now somebody should correct me on all my facts here, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, and so, yeah, they just, you know,
Yeah.
their just population just booms. So anyway, yeah. Um, so no, I'm not being, terrible person. for anybody who's wondering.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so we digress. Um, so you and I met at you were my coach
Mhm.
at a emotional intelligence leadership program,
Mhm.
and hugely successful for me. I mean, just an amazing experience for me. I'm assuming for you also, since you ended up coaching it.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me your experience of how you got into personal growth and why you're so passionate about it.
Wow, that goes way back.
Mm.
So I hired my coach. I don't even know what year that was. It was the year before he died. So 2012, I hired her and worked for her for 6 months. And it's funny because the way that I came to a coach in the first place, or personal development, if you will, I was meeting with a gentleman from the VA, the Veterans Affairs, and asking, how do I help veterans essentially? Like, I want to do GI Bill stuff. How do I get into the program? And he gave me a list of names and said, just call all these people. Told me nothing about them. So I remember calling Amy and being like, hey, I was told to call you. I don't know why I'm calling you. Um, Tell me what you do and why am I calling you? And she was like, well, you need me and you're going to hire me because I'm going to be your coach. Basically, like there was a lot more conversation than that. But I was like, okay, like I'll do a 6-month trial. We'll see. Like, I have no idea. I've never worked with a coach before. I'm in my business now, 5 years, 4 years. I don't know if I really need somebody. That's a lot of money. I don't think it's worth it. And so I hired her for 6 months. And I was like, it's okay. I went down and visited her in Florida at the time, the month or the week before he had died, actually, and spent a week with her. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to keep working with her. I think I'm going to stop working with her. And I came home, was going to talk to Marius about, firing her or no longer working with her. And he died. And it was like, she was one of the top 3 people that I called after his death. And I've just been with her. She helped me tremendously through that whole process, the trauma, the business, all of the things. And I've substantially grown because of it and continue to grow because of it. And through her, I found other modalities and other coaches and other healings and other courses and tons of things to work with. And she's the person who introduced me to ALA. And when I went through, I did that course. I think it's been over a year now. Um, and that was tremendously helpful for me. It was as if I had 10 years of coaching in 2 weekends, when I went through, and
Mhm.
I loved it. Um, and I've subsequently gotten a lot of my family and friends to go down and do it as well because I found such value in it. And then I decided to come back and staff it because I was like, I really loved it. I want to try and staff it now and be in the room for my dad as he goes through, because my dad did the process as well. And I just find that the more you dig and the more you are open to it, the more gets opened to you. And the better your perspective is, the better your interaction with other humans is, the more acceptance you have in your life, the more you're able to grow and expand. And I mean, I honestly can't say anything about personal development or growth in general. Coaches, that there's such value in that. And for someone who's never done it before, it's hard to see the value in it, especially when
Mhm.
it can be so expensive. But as someone who's now walked that path, I can't imagine not having a coach, period,
Yeah.
whomever
No,
it may be.
I 100% agree because I balked at the cost also. And, I had done a few weekends, that were yeah, well, one was a weekend and then one was, like 5 days, almost a week, 6 days or something like that. Anyway, of personal development, and I found it just amazingly helpful, right, to help me really dig into myself and to figure out really what my passion, what my purpose was. And but it wasn't until I got into ALA that I really went so far in that I figured out what is keeping me back, what's holding me back,
Mm,
and how do I get past it. Um, you and I are similar, in you sound like you've always been from a very early age very curious,
yeah,
and also the whole if I always tell my kids this, if you don't ask, the answer is always no, right?
100%. Hmm.
And going after things. So, I did similar things to you, probably not on the scale that you did it, but I need an internship when I was doing my master's degree, and I didn't want to go work at a restaurant or be a nanny. And it was in between. It was weird. We had the summer off, which you don't normally have in a master's program. And I literally just looked in the yellow pages back in the day, and I called up the first one that looked like a great clinic near me. I was an audiologist, or studying to be an audiologist, and I called this doctor's office and I said, "Hey, do you have an internship program?" And they said, "Oh my God, it's so funny that you're calling because we just talked about this the other day, how we want to bring an intern in, and why don't you come in for an interview?" And that's the type of stuff that it's like taking that step, taking, kind of your destiny into your own hands and not waiting for things to happen to you.
Mhm.
But so many of us don't do that, right? And I'm guilty of not doing it in certain areas of my life, right? And the personal growth that you can do to get yourself to that place where you learn to be, like you said, you learn how to connect with a variety of different people. And
Yeah.
every time that you do that, it opens the door to more opportunities. And so it's always in this moving forward mindset.
Mhm.
I don't think you probably have ever you don't sound like it anyway, that you've ever had a moment where being stagnant or going backward was ever in the cards for you.
No, no. In fact, I had a conversation, I think it was just yesterday. He's like, Heather, I can't imagine you ever retiring. Like like, what would retirement look like stopping or, like, pausing or anything?" I'm like, No, because even if I was retired, whatever we call that word now or whatever our perception of that word is, it's not like I will always be doing something, like whether it's I've got a routine going to the gym or, I'm starting a new business, writing a book, whatever. Like I can't I can't sit idle. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
And it's funny because I watched, oh gosh, I'm gonna forget the name of it now. It's a documentary about the blue zones, which is where you have a lot of, people that are 100 years old or older
Mm,
living in these areas, and they're concentrated in these areas, and so they studied it. I think it's called the blue zone 0 to 100, or like, whoa, I'll look it up. Anyway, it was really interesting because after the study, they kind of, okay, these are the bullet points of what we found that is common factor throughout all these communities.
mm,
And one was purpose, that these older people didn't just sit down and retire and do
yeah,
nothing. That whether they were a crossing guard or they helped in the kitchen, at the school, whatever they did, they were, even if they were volunteering and not making money, they were quote unquote working still, right? They were doing something that gave them purpose
yeah.
and not just waiting to die. And that's so important. I mean, I can't ever see you doing that.
No,
You you
no.
have like 8 more businesses you need to start before you die, so
Well, I definitely have at least 2 more books to write, at least. So yeah, there's definitely stuff still in the cards for me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's so amazing. Um, so you are looking to get out of one of your businesses, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so I am looking to sell independent helicopters. It's been on the market more or less for 3 years on and off. And I've had a couple buyers come in, and a lot of guys are not interested in owning a flight school, which is sort of where our niche is in flight instruction. They more or less want a tour business. And there's an amazing opportunity for that with this business, but um, I don't have the energy for it. Like you reach a point, I think, in business, and I think this is true for anyone who's ever sold a business or created one and wanted out an exit strategy. But you get to this point where you realize that you're the thing that's stalling the business's growth, and it's run its course for me. I love my business. I love flying. I love what I do, and I know that in order for it to grow in the way that it needs to grow, it needs to be in someone else's hands now. And so that's more or less why I want out. So
Yeah.
I still want to be involved in some way, whatever that looks like. Still flying, but just not owning the business anymore. And then I can focus more on the other businesses that I currently have.
Couldn't somebody who buys the instruction school, couldn't they also then build a tour business into that?
Yeah, so we have a tour business already as part of it. So it's just not, I haven't really grown that side of the business, but we do tours, we do power line and pipeline patrol, we do aerial photography, we do charter work. all kinds of things with the helicopter. So if someone wanted to make it a tour business that already exists within the business, they would just need to expand it. So the groundwork is already done for the growth opportunities that exist within the business. I just need someone that has the energy to grow them.
And does your online instruction feed into independent helicopters then?
Yes and no. So it would come with me. So that's a separate business under a different LLC. So that business would stay with me, and then I would white label it for independent helicopters. That way, they could still have it on their website and make money off of the people that sign up to it on there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
sense. Oh, well,
Yeah,
it sounds like a great opportunity for somebody out there.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, well, hopefully that'll all work out. It'll work out when it's meant to work out.
Exactly. That's the one thing that I have learned over all of this is divine timing is not anything that you can rush.
Yeah, yeah. But there is I do believe, and, this is gonna sound like woo-woo personal development stuff, but I really do believe that the energy you put out there is the energy that you get back.
100%.
And if you're not ready to sell, even though you say you are, right? But you really haven't put that in your being yet, I don't think it'll happen for you. Or if you're negative about it, it's not going to happen for you. And I'm not saying you because I know you.
Mhm.
You're totally grounded and positive, but I don't think people understand the importance of the energy that they put out into the universe.
Yeah.
And I that was one thing that I learned at ALA, and they told us that this would happen. And I'm just gonna say that I thought they were full of shit. And
Well, the saying, source is source, right? Source is source. So,
thanks, Heather.
mhm, mhm.
Uh, but, so I came home and I made a personal success plan and presented it to my coach, and 2 days later, something on there, which is funny, I put on there that I wanted to manifest and buy land, okay? And that wasn't a very concrete plan when I think back on it, because I literally used the word manifest. Um, but that's exactly what I did, because this property that we had been looking at for years, it had been on the market for 3 years, I think. We had been looking at it for about 2 years. They decided to rezone it, if you will, as a concept to basically make it sell, right? Because it was a little bit overpriced as it was. And so anyway, that my son contacted me and said, "Mom, did you see that property? They split it into 2 parcels and blah, 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 and all this stuff." And I couldn't believe it because it was literally 2 days
I
after I
love
said
it.
I'm gonna manifest it. And,
Mhm.
probably, 2 weeks later, I think we ended up purchasing it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, so that stuff, it actually does work when
it does. When you're in alignment.
when you're in alignment and and you truly believe, and the way that you're being is, you know, in that positive, "This is gonna happen for me" mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm a firm believer. I talk the woo woo all the time and the energy stuff all the time. So you're speaking my language. Yeah. Yeah.
I know, but it is funny though when you say it to, I wanna call them the lay person, but the person that really hasn't done, personal development yet. Like you said, you're not speaking necessarily the same language, and until you experience it and go through the work, you have no idea, and you're skeptical for a good reason. I get it.
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
understand because I was there once myself. So, um, yeah. So do
I
the
mean, I
work,
could tell
right?
you, I could tell you stories about manifesting $250,000 or $30,000 or, people, whatever it is. It's, yeah, when you're in alignment and it's, yeah, embodied, if you will.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Well, I one of the biggest things, that I noticed, after one of the weekends, at ALA, I I said to my coach, I said, "It's so easy now." And the reason that it was easy was because I was complete alignment with myself and my vision, my purpose. I believed in all of it. I believed in myself. I had so much confidence, and my way of being had that energy, that just excited energy. And so it seemed like things were just coming to me
Mhm,
effortlessly.
mhm.
Before, when I didn't quite believe in it, so, it was, this podcast, and I would talk to people about the podcast, right? The possibility of the podcast. And I would say, "Yeah, yeah," they'd say, "What's new with you?" And I would say, "Yeah, yeah, Oh, not much. The kids are good. Yeah, I'm thinking about starting a podcast and yeah, so anyway, what's going on with you? Well, that's not in alignment with my vision. That's not feeling my
Yep.
purpose or being confident. And the second I changed that, I mean, the amount of in-depth conversations I had because I would very confidently say to somebody, I'm starting a podcast or I've started a podcast. Oh, what's your podcast about? And then I tell them. And then it's just, I mean, them talking about, possibilities and that's so cool. And, let me tell you about myself and what I've gone through. And, and then then they are telling me you should have this person on your podcast and that person, and let me get you in contact and, make this connection. And it was just amazing. And all it was me changing how I
Yep.
was showing up.
100%. Hmm.
Yeah. And, you can't force it. Like I literally could not have I could have faked it, but I would have had the same results as before.
Hmm.
So that artificial excitement, right? That sometimes you get from a salesperson, you go to the you go to buy a car and you're like, and they come at you and that they're super excited and they have that energy, but it's not real, right? It's not
Hmm.
really coming from an
Yeah.
authentic place. You're still going to have the same result,
Yep.
which is you might get what you want, but it's going to be really laborious, right? Like
Hmm.
super difficult to do and just exhausting.
Potentially,
So,
yeah. But this,
yeah.
I mean, going back to the coach comment, right? Or like personal development, this is why we do those things. So you can be in alignment. So people can call you out on these things to be like, oh, I think you're faking it. Or have you tried doing this, to shift it? Or here, let's do this exercise to move through the grief, or whatever. Like for me, selling the business, it's an identity, right? Or was an identity. So it's shifting out of that and playing, that game mentally to kind of get myself ready for the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you have to be ready to sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
so cool. So, before we go, I want you to tell us how we get a hold of you, because,
Mhm.
and I'll put it in the show notes, but, what's the best way to get a hold of you and, any websites, phone
Yeah.
numbers, emails, whatever you wanna let us know.
So I'll give you both because the helicopter one is like it's still alive and well and booming. So independenthelicopters.com is the website. All of the contact information is there. You can reach me through anything on that. And all of our social media is independent heli. So that's that business, and you can reach me there. Or I have my own personal website. So it's Heather Howley oh, I almost gave you my email, heatherhowley.com. And you can go to the website and there's a contact form there. I think there might be a phone number there as well. And if not, I'll put one on there. But yeah, you can reach me through that. And Heathercopter1 is my handle on Instagram. So
Okay.
yeah,
So, Howley, Howley.
correct.
So heatherhowley.com. Now on heatherhowley.com, tell me who would benefit from your coaching and your mentorship.
That's a great question. I would say anyone who feels lost is probably the best description I can give you for that person. Whether it's someone who has a brilliant idea and wants to start a business but doesn't know how to get started or is afraid to get started, I'm your girl. If you want to grow your business and you don't know how and you're feeling stuck, I'm your girl. If I have a client right now who had a major loss. Her ex-husband just died, and very, very close, and she's going through it right now. So um, I've been coaching her, which has been really, really great. So those types of people. And then if you're interested in like anything STEM related, I have a lot of, science, technology, engineering, and math stuff on there as well. We do a lot of stuff with Girl Scouts, a lot of stuff with a summer camp and the younger generation. I think my scholarship stuff is on there as well. But yeah,
Oh, that's
mostly the
fantastic.
people that, yeah, like that.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So I just want to, real quick, I just want to bounce back to this because we touched on it, but there is no dollar amount that you can put on good coaching
Ugh.
or a good personal development, personal growth, emotional intelligence leadership program. There is no amount. I know you probably agree with me, um, because we spend so much money on frivolous crap that we don't need
Mhm,
that are not going to take us to our dreams, to our goals.
mhm.
And yet when it comes to this, the most important things in our lives, right? being able to enrich your relationships with everybody in your life, being to pushing past barriers that are keeping you toward your dream or your professional goal. I don't know why we hesitate so much at spending money on that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. We'll spend money on massages and facials, but we won't go to personal development, you know?
Right. Or don't even get me, I know everybody always uses this analogy, but the Starbucks, for the love of Pete, what do you even pay for a Starbucks now?
I have $5, $6. I don't even know.
I
Yeah.
know. I don't go. I'm definitely never being sponsored by Starbucks after that comment. But
That's funny.
um, but yeah, no, so I do urge you all to contact Heather if anything on today's episode really touched you, you really connected with it, or you have any questions. Contact Heather, contact myself, comment below, subscribe, follow, and do all that great stuff because it helps all of us.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Heather.
Thank you. It was so great chatting with you. Yeah.
I
I love your
know.
podcast. I'm excited for it.
Thanks. All right. Well, we will talk soon. I know we will. I'll probably see you in Austin soon.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Hey, if today's conversation inspired you, please consider leaving a review, commenting, and sharing this episode with somebody who could benefit. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and follow on YouTube to stay updated. And I want to shout out to Alchemy Productions for making this podcast a success. Until next time, keep embracing your journey and empowering your life.